Hey y'all, welcome. I'm so glad you're here for this video lesson. Now, this video lesson does combine um, Monday, February 1st and Tuesday, February 2nd. So if you were in a live synchronous class on Monday, February 1st, you're going to want to skip ahead to the part of this video that I have mentioned on our Schoology page, because that first part is going to be exactly what we did on Monday. And if you're here for Tuesday's part of the video, um, you're going to want to just jump ahead. Hopefully it'll start playing exactly where it should on Schoology. If it doesn't, check Schoology for exactly where you want to start. I'll also put it in the video description below where Tuesday, February 1st lesson will begin. But yeah, we're going to start with um, adding some decimals. So I should probably make it so you can see the notes we're going to take together too. But we are here and we are going to add some decimals. So we are going to today be adding decimals. So please make sure you're writing down these notes with us, doing this activity with us. As always, it's going to be slightly less interactive, but I'm going to do the best that I possibly can to make it interactive between you and me through this video screen today. So as we are adding decimals today, we are going to start with a chart. And our chart is going to have 4 columns, 5 lines. And we are going to go ahead, I thought I had a marker, but apparently I don't. Put a big decimal place right here. We're also going to draw a line straight across at the top of our chart, and I am probably going to have to make this longer than I did, but I will extend it. So if this is our decimal place, you already know the number, or the digit, the place to the left of the decimal place is going to be our ones place. The place value to the right of the decimal place is our tenths place. One more spot to the right is the hundredths place. And then we have the thousandths place. So as we start talking about adding decimals today, we are going to use our chart to compare and add, starting with dots, and then we're going to move on to just using a standard algorithm, which is much like when you add multi-digit numbers, multi-digit whole numbers. But we are going to start with the problem. We'll start by adding 2 tenths plus 1 tenth. Sorry, 2 tenths plus 6 tenths. And I really like to color code our work here. So as we are putting these 2 tenths, this first 2 tenths in, we're going to draw 2 tenths in our tenths column. That is just 2 dots for our 2 tenths. I'm going to make our 6 tenths orange, and we are going to put 6 more tenths in the tenths column. Now to add our 2 tenths and our 6 tenths, we can just count the total number of dots that are in that column. And as you can tell me, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to read that number with the number that is the digit plus the unit that is at the top of the column. So we say 8 tenths. Okay? Just for simplicity's sake, we like to also put a 0 in the ones place if there's nothing there. It is not required, but it does help us remember, hey, there is nothing in the ones place, so that 8 is going to be in the tenths place. So off to the side here, I'm going to write equals 0.8, which is equal to 8 tenths. That is 8 tenths right there. I'll slide it up. I'm actually going to see if I can make myself a little smaller there so I'm not blocking quite so much. Oh, stay over there, Mr. Spencer. There you go. All right. So we got our first problem now. We've added 2 tenths plus 6 tenths. We're staying in the tenths column. Now we're going to move on to our second problem. Our second problem is 2 ones, 3 thousandths, plus 6 ones and 1 thousandths. So just like we did on our first addition problem up here, I'm going to color code our two numbers here. So we have 2 ones and 3 thousandths. I guess I really need some coffee this morning. And then 6 ones and 1 thousand. So if you look at our green number here, there are 2 ones. So we have 2 dots in our ones column. And then 3 thousandths, so we got to jump all the way over to our thousandths column and put 3 dots in our thousandths column. Then we'll add in our orange number, which is 6 ones. So I've got 6 more dots coming in on the ones column. And 1 more dot in the thousandths column because we've got that 1 thousandths. And now all we have to do is add up the numbers in each place value. So we can count the number of dots in the ones place. That would be 8. We can count the number of dots in the thousandths place, and that is 4. Our decimal place is up here at the top. It carries all the way down. Now our answer, it is important to remember, hey, our answer is not 8.4. There are 2 place values here that are really important. You can't just switch from thousandths to tenths just the same way you can't turn $1 into $100, at least not without a lot of work. So any of our place values that are empty between the 2 digits or between 2 digits, we're going to fill in with a 0. So our second problem here equals 8 and 4 thousandths. I'm going to extend my chart down here a bit. If you need to extend yours, do that too. I'm going to draw another line across here as we attempt problem number 3. All right, problem number 3 is 2 tenths, 5 thousandths. Plus 6 hundredths. I'm going to underline our first number. So just talking about that first number and that second number for just a moment. I'll scoot that over just a smidge. Oh, that doesn't quite work, though. I'm still trying to find some space here where it all works. Talking about that first number, that 2 tenths and 5 thousandths would be 0 decimal place 205. So 0.205. This is the way we're reading it out right now. And 6 hundredths would be 0.06. Now we're going to talk about those as the standard algorithm later on in this video. But for today, we're looking all in words. Alright, so always our decimal place is in the same exact spot, and we just put that there. It's already at the top. We just put it there because I like to keep track of our decimal place always. So then our green number has 2 tenths, so we'll put 2 dots in the tenths column, and 5 thousandths, so we'll put 5 dots in the thousandths column. Our orange number has 6 hundredths. So I'll put 6 dots in our hundredths column. And then we're just going to go ahead and add each column up. There's not much adding because each column only has those dots from that one color. So there's 2 in the tenths place, 6 in the hundredths place, and 5 in the thousandths place. Now just as a placeholder, just to keep everything all lined up, we do like to add that 0 in the ones place if there's nothing in the ones place already. So our answer is 0.265, which we read, of course, as 265 thousandths. Let's shimmy this down just a share little bit. Wee little bit. There we go. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. So we read our number, and we're reflecting back to 4th grade here. We read our number as the number 265, and that 5, the digit farthest to the right, farthest over here on the right, is in the thousandths place. So we read the number to the right of the decimal as a whole number, 265, and then the place value it's in on the right side, thousandths. So 265 thousandths. I'm going to put this down here as a note. That is because if we had this is a decimal. If we had a fraction, it would be 265 over 1,000. Just because we remember that number right here is not a whole number. So it is less than 1. That's how we get a decimal or a fraction. Awesome. All right. So now we've got our place value, adding 2 numbers. I do have a question for you. And the best part is I even have a blue sticky note I can do this on. If we were to add 18 and 13, what would you get? You had 18 and 13. What do you get? You get 8 plus 3 is 11, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, so our answer is 211, right? What? You're telling me I'm wrong? It is not 211? It's not 200. What? Oh, you're telling me that answer is just wrong? And when we add the 8 and the 3, we put a 1 down here, but the second one, because we're over 10, has to regroup. And apparently we're frozen right now. Hopefully we will unfreeze. Bear with me for just one moment, please. We're going to restart our Elmo camera, and hopefully that'll fix it for us. But as you know, when you're adding 18 and 13, you have 8 plus 3 is 11. Because that 11 is over 10, we have to regroup it. There we go. Let's see if this lets me add it back. I don't think it will. Oh, it did. Look at that. That is beautiful. 8 plus 3, you told me, was 11. Because that we cannot have 11 in the ones place, we can only have a digit 0 to 9 in the ones place. We've got to regroup that second one up above the ones, and then we add 1 plus 1 plus 1 in our tens place, and we get 31. Okay, so glad you corrected me. We have to regroup that. We can't just put 2 digits in the ones place because it's not possible when we're adding using the standard algorithm to have an answer with 2 digits in the ones place. And the same thing goes for any place value. You can't have 2 digits in one place for your final answer. We have to regroup because otherwise, y'all, I just turned $31 into $211. I wish I could, but I'm not that magical. All right, so we talked about that regrouping. Awesome. I hope you're ready for your next question. Our next question, as I do that across there. Bring those down even more. Y'all would think after teaching this 4 times, I would remember my lines have to be really long, but I still don't. Okay, so our next problem is going to be 1.8 plus 13 tenths. And we know 13 tenths, that right there is 1.3. We also know it could be 1 and 3 tenths. Our 1.8, 1 and 8 tenths is 1 and 8 tenths. So we have 1 and 8 tenths plus 1 and 3 tenths. As always, I'm going to go ahead and underline these in our colors. Our first number is 1 and 8 tenths. Apparently we have frozen again, and that is no fun at all. Y'all, thanks so much for bearing with me this morning. Apparently, my technology issues from yesterday are carrying over into today, and they just don't like me right now. Well, I think I found part of the issues. I still had Teams open, and Teams really likes to ruin everything. All right, there we go. I can jump back here. Hopefully this switches back just the way it's supposed to. There we go. Awesome. So we are adding 1 and 8 tenths plus 1 and 3 tenths. So in 1.8 or 1 and 8 tenths, there is 1 in the ones column and then 8 in the tenths column. And then our orange number here, 1 and 3 tenths, that is another 1 in the ones column and then 3 in the tenths column. All right, so now we add up each of these numbers. 1 plus 1 is 2 ones, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tenths. So now our answer is 2 and 11 tenths. But just like in that problem y'all showed me on the sticky note, we can't have 11 tenths. We have to regroup. We've got to regroup. So, as we regroup, as you remember, anytime we move from one place value to another, we go in groups of 10. So I'm going to take these 10 right here. I'm going to move those 10 over there. 10 tenths, just like the fraction 10 tenths equals 1 whole, 10 tenths there is going to equal 1 whole on the left side. So now we have 2 dots plus 1 more, and 2 dots plus 1 more is 3 wholes. Then we have 11 dots, take away 10, 11 dots minus 10, and we are left with 1 tenth. Our decimal place is still right there, same column. So our answer is 3 and 1 tenth, 3.1. Awesome. We have one more problem in our lesson part for Monday. Then we're going to move on to Tuesdays. We have one more to go. Here we go. We're going to regroup one more time. And our number is almost that, y'all. Two ones, 8/100ths. You can't quite see me, so sorry about that. Plus 3 ones, 4/100ths. So as we set forth our first number to go, our green number here that we see has 2 ones and 8/100ths, we'll put 2 dots in our ones place. You need our decimal place right there. 8 dots in our hundredths place. And then our orange number, we have 3 ones in the ones place. And then 4/100ths in the hundredths place. We're putting 4 more dots there. All right, we'll add up all of those. We have 5 in the ones place. And then we have 12 in the hundredths place. Hold on. Y'all told me we've got 12. We've got to regroup. That's too high. Too many in the hundredths place. So we'll again take these 10. Ooh, those 10. One place to the left. And so now we have a dot. We have a grand total of 1 in the tenths place. Instead of having 12 in the hundredths place, we now have 2. So our ultimate answer is 5.12 or 5 and 12 hundredths. Now in this scenario, it looks very similar to when we had 5 and 12, and that's because there wasn't any number in the tenths place. But if we had tried to put our placeholder 0 in the tenths place, we had 5.012 or 5.012, then that would throw off our answer. So we always want to regroup. When we have 10 dots in one column, we're going to move it over to the next, just like when we were adding multi-digit whole numbers. Awesome. Y'all, as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. This is where we are going to move on to Tuesday, February 2nd. I'm going to put that down here. Y'all, welcome to Tuesday, February 2nd. Y'all, this is the portion of today's lesson that is built for Tuesday, February 2nd. If you have been joining us for the Monday portion of the video too, I would highly recommend that you take a break right now. Stretch, get a snack, and then come back if you need to do Tuesdays as well. But we're going to pick up right where we left off. So, we are going to dive into adding decimals part 2. We're going to start, just as a refresher, adding this number right here. 0.74 plus 0.59. And we're going to start with our place value chart just like we did for our first portion of the lesson. This time you only need 3 columns right there. Ones, tenths, hundredths, and of course our decimal place always goes between the ones and the tenths place. Awesome. I'm going to zoom in there since we've got some space to work. And just like before, I'm going to color code our numbers. Our first number is 0.74. Our second number is 0.59. Awesome. We're good to go. Looking at our green number, I see, okay, there are 0 ones, but there are 7 tenths. So we're going to go ahead and put 7 dots in the tenths place, 5, 6, 7. And then there are 4 hundredths, so we're going to put 4 hundredths in the hundredths column. All right, then looking at our orange number, that second number, 0.59 or 59 hundredths, or 5 tenths and 9 hundredths. We're going to put 5 in the tenths place because there are 5 in the tenths place in that number. And we're going to put 9 dots over here in the hundredths place because there are 9 in our hundredths place. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, there we go. Now, if you see what I see, there are a lot of dots there. So we are definitely going to have to do a little bit of regrouping. But first, let's add up the total number of dots in each column. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 dots in the hundredths place right now. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dots in the tenths place. All right, so now that we've got this, I see, hey, we've got 13 little dots in the hundredths place. So I have to move 10 of those over to the tenths place. And that becomes 1 right there. So now we have 13 dots there. We have regrouped our 13 into 110 and 3 hundredths. So now we are left with 3 hundredths here. But hold on, now there are 13 tenths. You got to move 10 of those over. regroup 10. So I'm going to circle 10 tenths. And we know 10 tenths equals 1 whole, 1 1. So we'll put our dot right there. We have just taken away 10 tenths from our tenths column, which leaves us with 3. And now we have 1 1. 1 1 in the ones place. Now our answer is, I guess I probably should have crossed that. I guess I could cross that out too. Our answer is 1 and 33 hundredths, or 1.33, 1 and 3 tenths and 3 hundredths. Now that we've drawn all of these out, I want us to add this vertically. So you have seen, you could easily add, because I know you are so smart, add 74 and 59. You can do that. Well, we are going to now vertically use this algorithm. An algorithm, we remember, is just a math process. We are going to turn these into these decimals above: 0.74, 0 and 74 hundredths, and 0 and 59 hundredths. We're going to add those together just the way we would with any whole numbers. The only thing, when we are adding when we are adding decimals, we must line up our decimal place. In fact, we are going to big, bold, star that down here. We're going to put that down before we even solve this problem, because this is so important that we remember this. When we add decimals, we must line up the decimal place. I just put a little decimal place there, although apparently we have decided we want to freeze again. Yeah, we'll be right back. So when we are lining up our whole numbers to add, we usually line up the ones place. What you didn't realize, because you didn't know this when you were just adding whole numbers, you were in whole number land and you were adding whole numbers, what you didn't realize was, hey, every whole number does have a decimal place. That decimal place is just on the right side of that number. And so even when you were adding whole numbers, you were lining up the decimal place without even knowing it, because the decimal place in any whole number is over on the right side. So if you had 23 plus 45, it would be 23 decimal place, 45 decimal place. So by lining up the ones place, you are also lining up the decimal place. All right, y'all, let's see if this is trying to work now. There we go. We have just jump-started it again. Awesome. So make sure you write this down. You circle this. You bold it. You highlight it if you need to. When we add decimals, we must line up the decimal place. And now that we have lined up our decimal place comes straight down. And then we can add our decimals. 4 plus 9. 4 plus 9, I know you could tell me, is 13. We are going to regroup that one up on top in the tens place. So then we're going to add 1 plus 7. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. Again, we put our 3 down in the tenths place, and we regroup our 1 above the 0. And we add 1 plus 0 plus 0. And 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. Y'all, my dog is acting real foolish. Let me just lift up this blind for him so he can see outside. I pulled the blinds down so there wasn't an awkward glare on me, but Walter needs to see outside. So I'm sorry if there's an awkward glare back there. Walter apologized. Actually, Walter doesn't apologize, but he's a dog. So, all right. Notice how we got the same answer both ways. We regrouped here visually. We regrouped here just the same way we would with whole numbers. Our next problem, I'm going to have you try on your own. And you can do it vertically. Try it vertically with this algorithm. Algorithm just means the process all mathematicians follow, so we follow the same steps. If you'd like to check your work with a place value chart, you absolutely can do that. But I'd like for you to check or give this a shot right here with solving it vertically. 7.048 or 7 and 48 thousandths plus 5.196, 5 and 196 thousandths. So go ahead, pause this video here, unpause once you have this solved, solve it vertically, check it if you want, and then we'll come back together to talk about it. Awesome. All right, so if you're like me, you set this up vertically, which is awesome. You made sure to line up our decimal place. So our decimal place is right here in the 7, to the right of the 7, sorry, and it is right here to the right of the 5. All right, now we just add this just like we would any whole number multi-digit addition problem. 8 plus 6. 8 plus 6 is 14, so we'll put our 4 in the thousandth place. Regroup a 1, carry the 1 to the hundredths place. Then we'll add 1 plus 4 is 5, 5 plus 9 is 14. Again, we put our 4 in the hundredths place and regroup a 1 to the tenths place. 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 2, so we put our 2 in the tenths place. And 7 plus 5 is 12. Now, we remember our answer is not, I'm sorry, that 4 was a little light. Our answer is not 12,244. There is a decimal place right here on both numbers. So we we have to make sure we put our decimal place in our answer in the same spot vertically. It's going to be different when we start talking about multiplication and addition of decimals, but when we're adding and subtracting decimals, you always make a line. Your decimal places are always in a line. Okay, y'all, we're going to take one more question, one more problem here for y'all. And I really like this one because it is tricky. Not tough. It's going to make you think. I'm going to move on to my last piece of paper here because it is our last problem. And our last problem is 7 and 44 hundredths plus 0 and 774 thousandths. Wow, that's the same number, just not the same place value. Now, I want you to give it a shot. Just set it up. You don't even need to solve it. Just set up your problem vertically. And then I'm going to pause here. I'm going to give you about 40 seconds to set up your problem vertically. And then we will talk about how we set it up. Check your work. You don't have to solve it. Just set it vertically. Set it up vertically. I'm going to pause here. Awesome. All right, so I know that we just talked about, we said, hey, when you add decimals, we must line up the decimal place. So I want to see if you came up with the same thing I did. When we were lining this up, I see that our decimal place is right here in our first number and right here in our second number. So we have two numbers, two decimal places. So when we're adding this up, I better line up that decimal place for both of them. So my decimal place is still lined up vertically here. Even though off to the side here, the numbers don't line up quite right, and that is okay. If it helps you, remember we can always add a 0 on the right side of a decimal place at the end of a number if that helps balance it out for you. You also don't have to add that 0 if you can just add 4 and nothing else. But it does look a little strange if we just have that number hanging out there. That is okay because we do want to line up our decimal places. Now I have also carried our decimal place straight down into our answer. So I'll put our decimal place down there to start. That way I don't lose it. And then we're just going to add, just like we were adding any set of numbers. So you have 0 plus 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. Then we have 4 plus 7. 4 plus 7 I know is 11, so we'll put our 1 down here. Regroup our 1 up here. Again, y'all just told me 4 plus 7 was 11, but we have this 1 more up top. So 4 plus 7 plus 1 is going to be 12. Put our 2 in the tens place. Regroup a 1 to the ones place. 1 plus 7 plus 0 is 8. There we go. We have our answer. Awesome. All right, y'all. We are going to move on to our problem set now. Our problem set is today in a Microsoft form. Okay, so first off, please do your work on a separate piece of paper if you need to at all. You should always be using paper in our math classes. I'm going to switch back so you can just see all of me right now. Always, always, always have paper and something to write with. Pencil, pen, marker, crayon, whatever it is. Make sure you are working out any problems you want in your math notebook, your math journal, a piece of paper if you don't have it with you. And then you can submit your answers in the Microsoft form. Just because it's a Microsoft form does not mean you shouldn't be doing your work on a piece of paper. Please make sure you show your work if you need to. Again, if you have questions during school hours, hop into our help session with me and Miss Hayden and myself. If it's outside of school, shoot me a Schoology message, an email, a text. We can schedule a time to get on Teams outside of normal school hours if normal school hours don't work for you, or we can meet during lunch on Wednesday, anytime on Thursday. Just let me know, y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are awesome. Make sure you get those problems solved in our Microsoft form. They are all in there. Put your answer in there. Do your work on a piece of paper. And if y'all have any questions, please, please, please let me know. Y'all are absolutely amazing. That was adding decimals. Y'all have an amazing day. I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.